Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mini Scroll, the daily internet culture podcast bringing you the biggest stories from social media, the creator economy, and the digital space every Monday through Thursday and sometimes Fridays. I'm your host, Lauren Meisner, the founder of the youth digital media brand, Centennial World. Welcome back to Mini Scroll, everyone. Oh my God, you cannot believe how desperate I felt on Friday that I was not doing a regular mini scroll and couldn't talk to you guys about the first story that I have for today. We need to get right into it because this is going to be a huge story and I still have two others after it. But obviously, I need to talk about the Coldplay Kiss Cam cheating scandal and how absolutely viral this has gone. This was truly the top story of the whole weekend. We all know the video, but essentially a man and a woman were in like a romantic embrace in what appeared to be maybe a box at a Coldplay concert last week, and the Jumbotron landed on them. Their faces went absolutely panicked. The man literally ducked down, like dropped to the floor to get out of frame. The woman turned her whole body, like shielded her face. And then Chris Martin was like,
all right, come on, you're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
Okay, so this was uploaded to TikTok by a random user named Grace, who was filming the Jumbotron in case she got on it herself. She uploaded this interaction to TikTok with the caption, "Trouble in Paradise," and then the video immediately went viral. It's now sitting at 116 million views, and also, this is such an aside, but the video was just a few seconds short of a minute long, meaning she has made essentially $0 from this video. Okay, so what's that saying? Kris Jenner works hard, but the internet works harder? Because within like minutes, maybe not minutes, maybe like an hour of this being uploaded, users had identified the man as Andy Byron, the CEO of a tech company called Astronomer, and the woman as Kristen Cabot, the CPO, as in Chief People Officer of the same company. Both are reportedly married to other people. Andy also reportedly has children. Obviously, this is spicy enough to begin with, but the fact that they are C-level executives and Kristen is the head of HR, that just made all of this snowball into something so much bigger than I think it would have been. Right away, two major internet rumors started circulating. One, a statement was blasted across Reddit, TikTok, and some of those like click farm AI-generated news sites that was claiming to be a statement sent out by Andy in which he basically blamed the internet for exposing his private business and then ended with a Coldplay lyric. This was a fake statement, but a number of people that I follow, that I know personally, were posting this. Some people have big followings that were posting this. And that to me was really shocking because it was so obviously fake. It was like made by AI, basically, this statement. But people were taking it as fact. Second, someone essentially cross-referenced the Astronomer team with other people who were in the clip that appeared to be in the same box as Andy and Kristen. And a massive viral rumor started that an HR employee named Alyssa Stoddard was in the box with them. And when they got caught, she was laughing and smiling, basically being like, "Oh my God, no way," type of thing. So people were like, that's Alyssa Stoddard. So then the internet started digging up Alyssa's information, her work history, and they found that she had allegedly worked with Kristen at several companies and was recently promoted after 6 months at Astronomer. So the narrative then became that Alyssa Stoddard must have known because she was obviously close with Kristen, having worked with her for, several companies. She only just got promoted because she obviously knew about this affair. Both of these are absolutely wild assumptions. And I do think a lot of the people who were buying into this narrative or perpetuating it maybe don't work in corporate, because it is actually quite normal for a senior leader to quote unquote bring in their people when they move companies. I'm not saying that's right, okay, but I'm saying it is super common. It is not some type of weird corruption that Kristen has brought in Alyssa at several different companies. That is kind of how mentorship works in corporate. You work for a boss, your boss loves your work, they can trust you. whatever, and then you develop this relationship, and as they get promoted in their career, they kind of bring you along with them. And a huge part of that is it's incredibly important for you to have really competent people working for you the more senior you get in corporate, right? Like the pressure is on the more senior you get. You need to have people working for you that you know you can trust, who are really competent, all of that. So that's the first thing, is like there's so many cries of like corruption based on Alyssa having worked for Kristen multiple times, when that is honestly incredibly common in this kind of industry. The second is that there are even more people absolutely dragging Alyssa's name through the mud because, you know, she must have known. She obviously isn't saying anything. That makes her complicit. Again, we have no evidence or reason to believe that Alyssa Stoddard knew anything. And I'm going to say, even if she did know and didn't do anything, I'm not surprised. I get that it's a bit of a trickier situation because Kristen is head of HR, Alyssa also works in HR. However, in general, I would say it is not on anyone to sacrifice their job or their career over a colleague's unethical personal decisions. And I'm not saying the CEO and CPO having an affair hasn't impacted the workplace culture and all of these other things, because I'm sure it absolutely has. It's not just, it is not just a personal decision. I understand there are ramifications for the organization at large. However, in this case, Kristen is Alyssa's direct supervisor. Kristen is allegedly having an affair with the boss of bosses, the CEO. So that really only leaves the board of directors for Alyssa to go to. But Andy is on the board of directors. The board would be partly the founders, oftentimes a lot of their friends. In many cases, Alyssa would probably actually just lose her job. I mean, with a giant severance package to keep her quiet, but still, she would probably lose her job for bringing this to the board of directors. This could tarnish her reputation in the industry because now all of these high-powered people, these executives, whatever, know that she has snitched on this situation. Anyways, this is all incredibly hypothetical because we have no idea if Alyssa knew or not. And I feel the outrage around her possibly knowing and saying nothing is unfortunately, that's just kind of how the world works. I know the fact that they're in HR, like I've said, makes it a little bit more tricky. But at the end of the day, would you sacrifice your career, your job, like everything that you've been working for, especially in this economy, okay? Like the job market is so difficult right now. Would you sacrifice that if you found out that your boss was having an affair just to do the quote unquote right thing? I don't know. However, all of that is a moot point because the person in the video actually wasn't Alyssa. Astronomer confirmed that it was not her and that Alyssa was not even at the concert. So now this random HR executive named Alyssa Stoddard, who works at Astronomer, has all these news articles about her. There are millions of people that believe that she is complicit in this affair. There's millions of comments about her on social media, just absolutely dragging her name through the mud, calling her corrupt and shitting on her, all these horrible things. I feel so bad for her. I mean, I obviously also feel bad for the spouses and the children involved in this affair, but I feel very, very bad for Alyssa Stoddard because there is this absolute false narrative, and there's still going to be millions of people around the world who will never know or never believe that it's not her. Since the video went viral, Astronomer put out a statement saying they are launching an investigation into the matter, and then they followed up with a statement saying Andy has resigned. Now, I have seen a lot of comments and discussion around how they quote unquote let him resign rather than firing him, and they should have fired him to set a standard. I'm going to make a very educated guess and say they did fire him. They gave him, the option to save face a little bit, but I presume that he will also get a very nice severance package to keep him from talking. And this is just how it works. We see this in reality TV all the time too, right? A Bravo star will get fired and they get to say I'm not coming back, I've decided to move on, but we know that they've been fired. I'm going to assume it's the same thing happening here. Another bit of interesting information that I saw is that Astronomer just raised their Series D in May, reportedly closing $93 million in funding. Now, the problem is that a chunk of that money, if not all of that money, would still be in escrow. And they do this in fundraising for situations, honestly, like this, where investors will take a bit more time to be able to do more due diligence, like look into scandals, lawsuits, things that didn't come out in the middle of like the fundraising round. There would also probably be some clawback clauses in any contract, you know, so people in the VC world are like, oh my God, like how is all of this going to impact their funding that they just closed? Now, the final bit of the story that I wanted to cover. There are several young people on TikTok making accounts claiming to be Andy's children. One account in particular is going super viral, and it's by the name of Vereena. Quote unquote, Vereena posted a video standing by a campfire to the song Fix You by Coldplay with the caption, "Reconnecting with life after your dad's affair makes national news." This was the first video that this account posted, and this account now has 190,000 followers, millions of views, okay? This was a brand new account 2 days ago. This account was made 2 days ago. The catch is this account is not real. Okay, Vereena is not the child of Andy. Whoever created this account is stealing content from singer Julie Touzette and using her likeness to pretend to be Andy's daughter, putting their own captions and text over it to kind of suit this narrative. And if you take a closer look at the account, you will see why they're doing this. To promote a travel deals platform called Trips with 2 eyes. So someone at Trips, whether it's the founder, the social media person, whatever, thought this would be a good idea to capitalize on the scandal, make a fake account pretending to be Andy's daughter to drive people to this platform. But they are using a real person's videos and likeness to do so. And this actually is what we should be more mad at than any of the other stuff. I mean, okay, we can be mad at some of the other stuff, but like this is, I honestly think this is like horrifying. I think this is horrible. So Julie has spoken out about this, and here's what she said.
Guys, I am not the CEO's daughter. You probably have seen this video of me at a fireplace reconnecting with nature. It's just someone who stole my videos and my content from TikTok to create this fake news, and it's going viral. Literally, even Virgin Radio reposted it. I'm like, guys, this is not me. Please help me report that person because she blocked me.
So all in all, culturally, I think there are few things that the internet can universally agree on, but cheating as kind of like a judgment on someone's morality is one of those things. Like a cheating scandal truly unites the internet like no other. And I actually don't really have an answer as to why. I'm interested to hear from you guys why you think that might be. Because if you consider all of the things that we talk about, even just on this podcast in terms of like quote unquote scandals, I think many of those things deserve a lot more heat than a cheating scandal. I'm not saying cheating's not bad. I'm not saying that there's not multiple people that are hurt that are involved in it. But the fact that cheating scandals get more heat than when we find out that, I don't know, some giant Hollywood actor has abused his wife and children, Brad Pitt, or like domestic violence, Chris Brown, sexual assault everywhere, you know, like cheating scandals, they get so much heat. I'm interested to hear from you guys why you think that is. But of course, Andy being a multimillionaire and these people being like 2 C-level executives, that makes it all more kind of salacious, I guess, and obviously her being part of HR. But if you guys are interested in this kind of, I don't know, tea, I guess, then you should listen to the Corporate Gossip Podcast. It's one of my favorite podcasts. This sounds like a paid plug or something, but I promise it's not. She did an emergency episode on this, and she kind of ended it off with something that I think ties it all together nicely, which is like affairs and scandals happen all the time in corporate, you know, especially when you're at that level. Having that much money and power, she says, and I love how she articulates this, literally takes ice cream scoops out of people's brains, you know, and there is research on that when you have that much money and power for that long, it impacts your judgment, it impacts your empathy, it impacts like so many things, okay? You feel invincible. So of course, these types of scandals happen constantly in corporate. But what we should be taking away from this is the fact that these CEOs, these shareholders, these C-level executives, you know, they are getting compensated like 300 times the average worker at their company, something insane like that. And they're out here putting the company at risk, making really horrible decisions half the time, being like messy as fuck. And a lot of times the justification that we're given as to why senior leaders are making so much more than everyone else in the company is like, well, they're worth it. Like they're bringing that much value to the shareholders. And so, part of corporate gossip and like their mission is to show that that's not true and to show that the decisions that they make at the top actually have so much more of a negative impact on the shareholders, as if we really care about that. But if you're going to use that as like the justification for why these people are where they are, then we need to be holding them to an obscene standard. And they are not living up to that standard. And it just shows you that people at the top who are getting paid, who have all this power, all these accolades, they're not necessarily smarter or better or more savvy or more sophisticated than the rest of us. So there is no update on Kristen yet. I presume she will also quote unquote resign with a big severance package, but I will keep you guys posted if any other like major tea comes from this. I really hope that Trips with 2 eyes ends up getting in some type of trouble for what they're doing with Julie's likeness and her videos, because I think it's abhorrent and I really hope that something happens there. Okay, the next story that I have for you guys is that Alex Warren has been called out for doctoring footage of music critics to play at his concert. TikToker turned musician Alex Warren is literally taking the fuck off right now for his music career. He has one of the most popular songs of the year so far with Ordinary. And he is quite beloved now. But he got his start as a TikToker in the Hype House. He was constantly accused of copying David Dobrik's like entire shtick. Like his origins definitely made people a bit skeptical of his music career, but then his single Ordinary coming out, taking off, people are obsessed with it as his love song, and now he has this song with Jelly Roll, and like he is just like going strength to strength. I think people are very pleasantly surprised about his music. So anyways, he played his biggest show yet over the weekend at Alexandra Park in London, and as part of his entrance, a compilation video played on the screen behind the stage, and it clipped together a bunch of music journalists and TikTok critics basically reviewing his single Ordinary. And all the clips were negative.
Why is this song going viral?
I can't believe the song went #1.
I feel like I've heard this song 10 other times. This song is fearfully tacky.
He's one of the most self-indulgent.
Now, this type of like underdog marketing is becoming more and more common, especially among people with big followings, because obviously they do get a lot of criticism and feedback and hate. Of course, the flip side of that is if you have a big following to begin with, you're kind of like 100 steps ahead when you're releasing a new project, new music, whatever. So yes, people might be a little bit more harsh on you because it's like, okay, we knew Alex Warren as like this TikTok kid from the Hype House, this vlogger, and now he's trying to be a musician. And so yeah, like music critics might be a little bit harsh on him, but also can you imagine your first single being reviewed by like every major music publication and big TikTok journalist? Anyways, so where it gets interesting is it turns out that one of the clips used in this intro was doctored to make Australian music creator Sam Murphy say something he didn't actually say.
Talk about Alex Warren making his terrible music. When I saw the clip, I found it extremely funny because I think if you're going to lodge criticism at somebody, you've got to expect to get it back as well. But the clip that they'd used and what I said in it, I actually didn't think I'd said it. And so I went back and found the original clip. And I'm going to play what I actually said unedited. Fast forward a year, things are looking very different. On the charts at the moment, we have names instead like Alex Warren, Benson Boone, Teddy Swims, Morgan Wallen. And these, I don't want to group all these together and say that what they're all making is terrible music, because that's not the case at all. But what they are representing is a shift towards something far more safer, far more traditional, and far more conservative. And when we talk about Alex Warren's Ordinary, it will probably go on to be one of the biggest, most defining songs of 2025.
I feel like this could teeter the line of like defamation. I don't know. Alex has now addressed the situation in his own video, saying he hired someone to create this sizzle reel, and he has apologized to Sam, and they are all good.
I hired someone to make a intro for me, and it would be a series of clips of people making fun of me or critiquing my work or whatever, and then it would cut to who would even go to an Alex Warren show, and then it would cut to the audience. It was my biggest headline show. I thought this would be special. And so I got it back because I hired these people. I expected them to put in the work. And turns out that one of the clips was not how it was, I guess. It was edited together, and I didn't know that. I don't watch videos of me getting critiqued or anything on the internet just because I'm pretty sensitive. But yeah, so the next day I saw a video of one of the guys who was in the video, and he was upset because it obviously wasn't what he said, and I didn't know that. And so immediately saw it, and I was like, fuck, dude, I feel terrible. And so I messaged him, I said, hey, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, he was fully understanding of the whole situation. I explained it to him, but it was on me. It was my fault. I didn't check to see whether or not the footage was right. I kind of just trusted the people I was paying to do it.
I've also seen some Alex Warren fans trying to compare this to Taylor Swift using all of this stuff around her to come back with Reputation, and I completely disagree with that. Like, Taylor was quite literally run off the internet for like an entire year. She had celebrities coming after her. She had like the whole internet coming after her. You know, like Alex Warren releasing a song and some music journalists being like, I don't know about this. That's not the same. That is not the same as Reputation. Like, Taylor Swift had A-listers releasing receipts trying to get her canceled. That was a very different situation. I actually ended up in one of these sizzle reels. If you guys are an OG listener, you might remember. But when James Charles announced that he was coming out with his beauty brand, Jordy and I talked about it on the podcast, and I said, obviously some not very nice things about it, I guess. I think I said it was like a little bit, I think I said it was like too late, and I was like, who's gonna buy this? I don't know. It wasn't like super negative, but it wasn't super positive. And then when he did his launch video for Painted, he used that clip at the beginning. And my friend messaged me like, have you watched James Charles's Painted video, like his announcement? I think you should go watch it right now. And I was like, oh my God, I'm dead. In that case, I did say exactly what was posted in that video, so. Okay, and the last story that I have for you guys, this is a bit of happy news, but Vereena Sayed has returned to YouTube. So if you're unfamiliar with Vereena, she is a 22-year-old creator who has been around for quite a while now. She first rose to viral fame on YouTube back in 2018, 2019 for beauty and fashion content. While Vereena's content and style changed over the years, she built a super loyal following on YouTube. She had started posting on platforms like TikTok and Snapchat and was also growing pretty big there. Toward the end of 2023, she ended up getting a motorcycle, which had long been a dream of hers. She posted a fair amount of content about the motorcycle where she would share clips riding it and also sharing how she customized it and all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, Vereena ended up getting in a tragic motorcycle accident on February 28th, 2024. She was on the bike with Bryce Gage, and Bryce ended up passing away from the accident while Vereena was taken to the hospital in critical condition. Ever since then, Vereena has been offline. Vereena's family and management initially confirmed that she was involved in the accident via Instagram, and her sister and dad would go on to share sporadic updates about her progress. Her dad specifically had been leaving comments and responding to questions about her condition on the last video she posted on YouTube before the accident. Toward the end of 2024, Vereena started posting on her social media channels again. So she first posted on Instagram, writing hi to her followers, and she also started posting about her journey on TikTok as well. Over the weekend, however, Vereena posted a video to YouTube, something her followers had long been hoping for. In the 3-minute video titled "It's Been Over a Year," she was putting on some makeup and talking about how she's in recovery. She said she was initially embarrassed to come back online, and she didn't really want to get into the nature of her injuries, but she did share that she was in a coma for 2 months and had broken her jaw. She also shared that one of her arms is now paralyzed. That being said, Vereena also added that she is making this video as a birthday present for her dad, who is clearly one of her biggest supporters. And she finished up the video saying that she hopes to do a Q&A next and asked viewers to leave her questions. The response to her video has been really positive. So many of her longtime followers are happy to see her return to the platform and do something that she's always loved. Anyways, so happy to see her back online, especially because people are being so kind to her. You know, obviously hope she continues to recover, and I thought that was just kind of a nice, happy story for us to end on. Anyways, guys, that's it for Mini Scroll today. Thank you so much for listening. I love you guys. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. I love you, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.